It's time for Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt. Todd Marquardt, attorney at law in Texas. If you're a millionaire or a thousandaire, Talk Law Radio is now on the air. Call in with your business law question, your elder law question, veteran aid, Medicaid, build a business to get paid. 210-308-8867. Or ask a question online at marquardtlawfirm.com. That's MARQUARDT lawfirm.com. And now, it's Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt. Now it's time to discover your legal issue blind spots by listening to me talk about the law on the radio. And today I'm going to be talking about lots of different laws. It's going to be a recap of the first half of the year. And I just realized something that you might not know about the Sunday show. Sundays on 9:30 a.m. The Answer, KLUP in San Antonio. On Sunday afternoons at 4:30 in the afternoon, I do another half-hour show. And so I'm going to give you some heads up on what those episodes are, because you can still watch them on YouTube or listen to them on podcasts. But first, I'm going to check in with Jacob Warren, who's with Financial Planning HQ. We're going to talk about the financial focus.
Of course.
So Jacob is a financial planner with Financial Planning HQ. He works alongside his father, Steve, and brother, Joseph, to create inspiring financial strategies for families and business owners in San Antonio. Jacob's been a financial advisor for 10 years and is passionate about helping young business owners plan their financial success. He loves the outdoors and, most importantly, being a husband to his wife, Catherine, and a father to their two kids, Arthur and Camille.
Yep. Happy to be here, Todd.
Welcome back.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to be on the show.
Awesome. So you're a financial planner with an unusual business model. You don't sell investments, insurance, or financial products. Can you tell us more about that?
Of course, happy to do so. Like I said, I'm happy to be here, Todd. So Financial Planning HQ, we're an independent flat fee advisory firm. So we don't manage investments. We don't sell any products, no insurance, no annuities, anything like that. And I'll give an example. So if you hire an expert, let's say you hire a CPA, we'll use you, Todd, as an example. So if a client comes in and hires you to do all the estate planning, do they know exactly what they're going to pay you?
Yes, I give them a quote for a fixed flat fee.
Of course, and that's what most transactions are like. But in the financial world, unfortunately, things can be a little bit convoluted. There's a lot of complicated products, commissions, things like that. So our clients, number one, they know exactly what it is that they're paying us to the penny, dollar, cent. They know exactly what they pay us, and they're paying us for financial advice. They're paying us for accountability and really the results behind everything that we offer. So in a nutshell, our compensation isn't tied to how much money they invest or whatever products we offer, because we don't even offer products. It's based upon the advice and the flat fee that we charge them.
Okay, so if you're not selling insurance or financial products, what do the clients hire you to do? Yeah,
I run into that all the time, Todd. I sit down with somebody and they just kind of give me their statements. They're like, okay, what do I do? Mm-hmm. And that's actually, in my initial meeting, we don't even talk or look at their money statements until about 40 minutes into it. Investments are obviously super important, right, for somebody's financial picture, but it's just a small piece of the puzzle. So what our work includes is a lot of different things, but retirement planning, tax strategy, succession planning, estate planning coordination with attorneys like yourself, risk manager is a big one, and helping clients make major financial decisions. And I want to talk a little bit more about that because for successful people, making a big decision can have a huge impact on their success later on in life. So if you think about things like being overly invested in something risky, that can completely crater your whole financial plan. Or if you don't have like estate planning documents, I'm sure you run into it all the time where people pass away. Unfortunately, they don't have documents, and then there's just chaos, right? People are suing people, and the attorneys get all the money. So, which is good for the attorneys, but not good for the family.
Well,
right?
we want a good result for them as well.
Right. And so what you end up with is you get specifically tailored advice and high level of coordinations through different subject matter experts.
Okay. Many affluent families already have investment advisors. So why would they need a planner like you?
That's a very good question, Todd. So most successful people, they have their money guy, right? They have their investment advisor. They have their CPA doing their taxes. They have various attorneys that work with them. The challenge and what I always see is that these people do not communicate with each other, Todd. They are all in their separate silos. They may be doing great work, but there's no overarching strategy behind all of them. What I offer to my clients is being that financial quarterback. So imagine that I'm the financial CEO and I'm working with all of these various people that touch your financial life, and we're all on the same page. We all know your goals. We all know what you're trying to accomplish, and we're all a well-oiled machine working to make sure that you're successful. And I like to talk about coordination because it's super important to what I do. In fact, I think it's the highest value that I offer to my clients. And I'll use an example of the recent Artemis II mission. I am fascinated by space travel. I'm sure you guys saw that we sent 4 astronauts. They went and orbited the moon. Took about a week there and back, maybe a little bit more. And it's hard to even wrap your head around the planning that would go into something like that.
Right.
And think about, I did a little bit of digging into this. There's hundreds of groups of people working on very, very specific details behind the mission, right? They're working in their group, but over them is 4 people that oversee everything. And these people are meeting all the time, multiple times a day, to make sure that everybody is on the same page. It's impossible for all those hundreds of people to talk to each other each day.
Right.
But there's somebody there making sure that everybody is on the same page. And that's a very, very high level of coordination. Can you imagine if they didn't talk to each other?
It would be chaos.
It would be chaos. You think about, with something like that, you just want to increase your probability of success as close to 100% as you possibly can, right? Because if things go bad, things go very bad with something like that.
Yeah.
So coordination, if you take a look at your own financial life, it's the same thing. You want all of these people working together, speaking with each other monthly, quarterly, just to make sure that the advice is all aligned and everyone is rowing in the same direction. And there's many different examples of that. You think about like a coach, right? Everyone's excited about the Spurs right now.
Exactly.
There's a bunch of players on that team, maybe 12 of them. They're all extremely talented, but there is somebody that tells them, this is your role, this is what you're going to do, being the coach.
Right.
So it's something important to have in your life, and all of these people should communicate with each other.
And running the plays, too.
Yeah, and running the plays. Yeah, giving everybody direction.
So what about high net worth families? What are the issues they're focused on today?
The main thing that I see is, people have been, if somebody's been successful and they've created maybe a business, or they're high wage earners, something they're concerned about is they've accumulated a lot of wealth and they want to protect it. How do they protect it, use it wisely, and transfer it efficiently, which is where someone like you, Todd, comes in, making sure all of that is taken care of. Some of the things that I see a lot, and we just kind of went through tax season. Tax planning is super important.
Well, doesn't the CPA do that?
The CPA does do that, but the CPA would do that under our direction, making sure that we're not missing anything. And the CPA only knows what the CPA knows, right? So on our end, we know what's going on behind the scenes. Like if somebody's taking money out of different accounts, making sure that they're taking it out of like the most tax efficient accounts.
I've heard CPAs complain about that their clients don't call them before they make a big decision, and then that they expect a certain tax result, and the CPA says, well, I didn't know you were going to do that.
Yes, that's something we've run into, and it's definitely something that if everyone's on the same page, you can avoid that, and just kind of had that conversation beforehand. Say, hey, you're taking money out of this account. This results in X amount of tax dollars.
Right.
So be aware of it, or maybe make a higher quarterly payment or whatever it may be. So what we offer is a strategic plan to make sure that regardless of what happens in the outside world, you are completely protected. We're not going to let you make any huge mistakes, going back to like the big purchases and making any financial mistakes. So, yeah.
Okay, so if somebody's listening today and wondering whether a flat fee planner is right for them, what should they consider?
I would have them ask themselves a simple question. So I would have you ask in your mind, so how is my financial advisor compensated? and does that compensation influence the advice that they're giving me? So if you really sit there and think about it, if you're sitting down with your financial advisor, are they constantly trying to get you to change from one product to another product? Are they always talking about increasing your life insurance? Things like that are kind of red flags for an advisor that just kind of wants to sell you something. So another thing to look out for is if your reviews, whether you have like an annual review or quarterly review with your advisor, if you're only talking about your investment performance, that's something that you're missing out on a higher level of advice that you could be receiving, where it takes, investment performance, which is incredibly important, but it ties it into all of the other areas of your finances, which is what we offer.
Okay. And so if someone wants to learn more to contact you, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, so my business partners and myself, we are only onboarding a specific amount of clients each. And if you've resonated with what we've talked about today, the best possible way to reach me would be to call me directly. And you can reach me at 210-748-1937. That's 210-748-1937. You could also send me a message directly via our website, which is www.financialplanninghq.net.
Okay, so they can reach you by phone or by messaging you on the website.
That's correct.
Okay, I didn't know that. I've been watching the news, unfortunately, and the market's down this week.
It is.
Are people calling you hysterical about what's going on?
No, I've had one person reach out, actually a close friend of mine, and he was just a little bit concerned, but he's a young guy, so he's like,
And so what is it about you and your model that is not creating that need for them to call?
We have these conversations beforehand, and nobody is invested in a way that if a major market downturn were to occur, they would still be protected.
Okay, well, we got to take a break. Thanks for coming in.
Of course, Todd. Thank you so much.
We'll be right back. Talk to you later. Are you confident about your financial future? What if you had a clear financial roadmap and a team holding you accountable to make the best financial decisions no matter what? At Financial Planning HQ, Steve and his sons, Joseph and Jacob, have been helping San Antonio families since 1987 with inspiring, intelligent financial strategies. Whether it's achieving or maintaining financial independence, becoming more tax efficient, or building business wealth, we create a comprehensive, written lifetime financial strategy that's uniquely yours, based entirely on what's important to you. Don't leave your financial future to chance. Call Financial Planning HQ today at 210-685-2722. That's 210-685-2722. And take the first step towards financial clarity. That's Financial Planning HQ, inspiring financial strategies for San Antonio. Remember, 210-685-2722. Hi, I'm attorney Todd Marquardt. If you don't have a will, the state of Texas decides who gets your stuff, and it might not go where you think. I'll help you create a simple, legally sound will that protects your family and your wishes. Call 210-530-4278. That's 210-530-4278. Or visit marquardtlawfirm.com for your free consultation. Do it before you die. In the beginning, God had one law: don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then he gave Moses the 10 Commandments. And now we have municipal, state, and federal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws that might impact you without you knowing it. So tune in every Saturday morning and Sunday afternoon on Talk Law Radio, Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock on KLUP 930 AM, KSLR 630 AM in San Antonio, and 1070 KNTH and 103.3 in Houston, Texas, where I talk about the laws. Today I'm going to be breaking down the first half of this year. I'm going to review some of the episodes, some of the laws that I've already been discussing, because I realized that many of you are missing out on the content that I have on Sunday afternoons at 4:30 in the afternoon on 9:30 a.m. The Answer in San Antonio. So you too can find those episodes posted to YouTube. You can watch while you're walking the dog, washing the dishes, or working in the garage. Also, podcasts everywhere. So there's no excuse for you to not know what the law is, especially the ones that I'm going to be talking about. Before we get started talking about the law, let's begin with prayer. Dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you for all the gifts and blessings that you give to us. Please forgive us for our sins, for our mistakes, for doing the wrong thing or failing to follow your will. Please help us to follow your will more closely. And dear God, there are so many laws and problems that we face in this sinful world. Help guide us as we navigate the complexity of our lives. Please forgive us as we violate earthly laws and your holy law. And please help us also to forgive one another. Help us to do everything we do for the good of your people, for our own good, and for your glory. In Jesus' name, amen. Today we're talking about some of the past episodes that I've already done this half of the year. June is halfway, so congratulations. And let's see. I want to talk about hidden legal issue blind spots. You know, that's my favorite. We began this year talking with Mark Nelson about federal income taxes. This was the first year for the Big Beautiful Bill Act and some of the changes that were made by the bill that Trump passed. And so he gave a lot of good information about how to save on taxes by using these new deductions or exemptions or new rules. So if you missed that episode, it can still apply. Maybe you're filing late, or maybe you're just preparing for next year. But that's Mark Nelson. We were talking about income taxes, and so you can search those two terms when you're searching YouTube or podcasts. Then I did a bonus episode about how Maduro was taken from Venezuela. He was indicted by the court in New York, and he was arrested. The U.S. military went in and captured him and brought him to New York, and that's where he's right now in some jail cell. But if you missed that episode because it was on Sunday afternoons, you can find it on YouTube or podcast. Then I talked about Christian Assistance Ministry, better known as CAM, C-A-M. They do a lot of good work here in San Antonio, and I spoke with the executive director, Dawn Fosdick-White. She told us all about how they're helping people, especially those without homes or homeless. And so if you missed that episode, you can find it on YouTube or Facebook or podcasts anywhere. Then I did an episode about legacy with Steve Warren. You know, I like to talk about legacy because that includes last wills, living trusts, and tax-protected inheritance plans. And so legacy, I think, is very important. It's what keeps us motivated to do things and to take care of our families and friends and take care of our neighbors or our state or even our nation. So legacy, I think if you've never thought about that before, now's a good time to do that. And you can get some experience, some ideas by watching or listening to the episodes. Of course, I try and always have a legacy segment. That's the fourth segment. And I like to talk to our guests about what their legacy is, whether it's a special family heirloom that they inherited or that they want to pass down, or maybe it's just values that they learned from their family members that have gone before them, or maybe it's values that they definitely want to pass on to the younger loved ones. Then I talked about guardianship with paralegal Cheryl Mays. She's a paralegal with Marquardt Law Firm. She's been acting as paralegal for various firms over the last 25 years, so she has lots of experience. And the reason we were talking about guardianship is because If you're guardian over somebody and all of your actions are supervised by the court, you're going to have to account for how the income that came in was spent. And that's what we call accountings. Accounting for how the guardian spent the ward's money. The ward is the person who has lost capacity and didn't have legal documents to give anyone permission to make decisions for them. And so that's why the court has to supervise the guardian. Then we did a bonus segment about series LLCs. If you're interested in how a series LLC is different from a regular LLC, you should definitely search for the bonus about series LLCs on YouTube or podcasts everywhere. There are a lot of differences. It's very useful, very powerful, but you have to do things in the right way. You have to use the right words, and you want to follow the law so that if something bad happens to one of your businesses, that you can rely on the limited liability company statute that Texas has. So don't just let your CPA register you with Secretary of State. You want to get advice from a business attorney so that you can make sure that your operating agreement and your minutes are all up to date and they reflect reality of your company. Then we talked about goals and nutrition with Melody Smith. She's works for Club Pilates, and they have 2 locations now. They have one near the Dominion, and they have one in Bernie that just opened. So if you're interested in learning about Pilates, look for that episode on YouTube. Just search for Goals, Nutrition, Melody Smith, and you'll see the videos. And the videos on YouTube are broken down into 12 to 15 minute segments, and so you can watch them while you're walking the dog, washing the dishes, or working in the garage. Or you can search podcasts, whether it's Apple Podcast or Spotify or iHeart. You can find me probably anywhere you look if you just Google Talk Law Radio. And by the way, I wanted to give you an opportunity to influence the show. I want to hear from you. Let me know what you think I should be talking about. Let me know what you're interested in. Of course, I like to talk about the law, so if there's any law that's bothering you or any regulations that are causing you trouble in your business or personal life, email me at host@talklawradio.com. That's HOST@talklawradio.com, and give me your ideas. Next, I talked about medical power of attorney, do not resuscitate, and directive to physicians. That was a bonus episode, so you may have missed it because it was on Sunday afternoons. So if you're interested in really learning the details about how these things are different, medical power of attorney, do not resuscitate, and directive to physicians, search for that episode on YouTube or podcasts everywhere. Next, I talked about the SAVE Act, and that law is supposed to help make sure that voter fraud is reduced by requiring that only citizens vote. And in order to prove that you're a citizen, you have to show some form of identification. Now, I know that makes some people raging mad to require identification, but there's lots of other reasons that you would have to have an identification. And recently, just a few weeks ago, I was interviewing my associate attorney, Stetson Honey, and he mentioned that you have to have identification to buy a house. And I said, how dare you require identification to buy a house? And he said, well, if you're going to get a mortgage, if you're going to sign a deed, a notary has to confirm and validate that you are who you say you are through identification. So that's important. I think the SAVE Act is important. Let me know what you think. Do you think that people should only be citizens voting? Do you think that they should have to present identification proving that they're a citizen? Let me know. Then I talked about how to pay for long-term care with Stuart Waldenmeyer. Yeah, that's a long name, Waldenmeyer. But he's very informative about all the different ways that you have to pay for long-term care. I got to take a break. I'll be right back. Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt. Today we're talking about the first half of the year and all of the laws and all of the court cases and some of the guests that have come in. But this is the third segment. It's where we talk about the sinners and the saints. So if you don't remember, or if you never heard that tune before, that's on the organ, traditional church music. It's "A Mighty Fortress Is Our God." I love that song. So I like to talk about the sinners and the saints. Like to talk about somebody that's done something bad, somebody that's done something good. And today I want to talk about that kid in McKinney, Texas, who was just convicted of murder of another student by stabbing him to death at a track meet. And I don't really want to talk about the names of these kids, but I want to talk more broadly about safety at school. In the past, when there were school shootings, everybody complained that it was the firearms' fault, that there's too many firearms, and so that's why there's school shootings. Well, now we have an incidence where somebody was stabbed to death, and so are we going to outlaw knives now? Well, you probably already know the answer to that. Probably not, because we like to eat steak and other things that have to be cut up with knives, and probably not going to be able to do away with them. But this kid, he claimed self-defense. Now, almost everybody that gets charged with murder is going to claim self-defense. And it didn't work. He got convicted anyway. So I want that to be a warning to you that if you're in a situation where somebody is threatening you, you have to sort of think to yourself, is this a situation where I have to use deadly force to defend myself? Because if you're wrong, you could end up in prison. And nobody wants to end up in prison. At least I think nobody does. So that's the sinner. Don't stab people, and don't get into a fight with somebody and think that self-defense is going to keep you out of trouble. Now, I don't have a saint this week. This is your opportunity to nominate somebody who can receive a little bit of honorary credit for something good that they've done in the community. So email me at host@talklawradio.com. That's HOST @talklawradio.com. Or post a comment on YouTube and let me know who you think we should honor on Talk Law Radio. Talk about what they're doing good in the community or their family or the nation or the world. And I will think about highlighting that person after I do a little bit of research. But this is your opportunity to be part of the show. Email me at host@talklawradio.com. That's HOST @talklawradio.com. And nominate somebody you think we should honor during the Sinners and Saints segment. I'm going to go back to the hidden legal issue blind spots that I've been highlighting all year. This half of the year's done. We still have the other half to go. It's kind of like that old saying, is the glass half full or half empty? Well, the year's either half finished or we have half a year still to go. So I wanted to let you know that I have this other show on Sunday afternoons on KLUP 930 AM The Answer in San Antonio's, Sundays at 4:30, or you can just search for it on YouTube or podcast. I told you about Christian Mueller, no, I didn't even get that far. I was telling you about Stuart Waldenmeyer, who I talked with about long-term care and how to pay for it. After that, I talked about ethical wills and legacy letters. You've heard about the last will. You've heard about the living will. Do you know what the ethical will is? Well, it's a way of communicating to those that you love what's valuable to you, what your values are, on the other hand. So it may not be your stuff or your money or your prized possessions, but it might be your values. And it's a way to communicate to those that you love what your values were and what you want to continue in them. It's like in the Old Testament when the father would bless his children. The blessing was really, this is what I hope and wish that you'll achieve in the future. And so I think that's something good for us all to do, even if we don't have children or grandchildren, but to communicate this to your friends and family. Say, hey, buddy, if I'm gone, I want you to continue doing good work in this area. Keep caring about the community. Keep giving to that charity. Keep everyone in mind when this or that happens. So anyway, that's an ethical will, also known as a legacy letter. The legacy that you want your family to carry on. How do you want to be remembered? Anyway, if you're interested in that topic, search for it, Talk Law Radio, Ethical Will, Talk Law Radio, Legacy Letter on YouTube or on podcasts. Next, I talked with Leigh Wright, who has a podcast called Base Buddies. She has a community of military spouses that she likes to have conversations with on podcasts and YouTube. She's super fun to listen to. We collaborated for a show here on Talk Law Radio just so I could learn more about her. In fact, she was in the news recently. One of the news stations here in San Antonio did a report on TV, and then they posted an article online. So if you're interested in learning more about Leigh Wright, Leywright, search for her on Talk Law Radio or on podcasts. Then I did talk with Christian Mueller about Pilates. He's the owner of Club Pilates at the Dominion and now in Bernie. So if you're interested in learning Pilates, you should definitely watch his show because he explains why he got into this business and how it's important for parents and grandparents to stay physically fit. I won't tell you the end of the story because I want you to watch and listen to that show, but it's very powerful. You should definitely check it out. After that, I talked with Sherry Ettinger. She was running for a local school board. She's a realtor here in San Antonio and the Texas Hill Country, and she calls herself the Grit Girl. And I did have one of the fans reach out to her because she has a very inspiring story herself. So you should definitely check out the Legacy segment with Sherry Ettinger. That's Cheri, last name Ettinger. Search for her on YouTube or podcasts and Talk Law Radio, and you'll find her legacy segment. After I talked to her, I talked with attorney Blake Newberry. He's an attorney at Marquardt Law Firm. I thought by talking to him about what he does and what he's passionate about, you'd get to know the team at Marquardt Law Firm just a little bit better. He's a very interesting guy. He's from Kentucky. He went to law school in Fort Worth and made his way down here to San Antonio. And he's been working with me at least 3 years. I'm not sure when his anniversary is. I'll have to check that out. If you want to learn more about Blake Newberry, search for YouTube and then search for Talk Law Radio, Blake Newberry, or on podcasts. You can learn more about him, learn more about Marquardt Law Firm there as well. Then I talked about the Educational Foundation, Ray Feo, and Fiesta with Ronnie Suarez and George Torres. That was a super fun episode. Of course, if you're from San Antonio, you know that Fiesta is a great time and good food. And doing this episode helped me realize the good work that Fiesta event does for providing scholarships for students so that they can get their education or get their training. We want for people to be productive members of society. And so I support the Educational Foundation, and you can learn more about it by searching YouTube. Just look up Talk Law Radio and search for Ronnie Suarez or George Torres or Ray Feo, Reyfeo. Now, if you're from San Antonio, you probably already know how to spell that. But for those of you who are not, in Houston, come visit us next April. It's fun, and you'll be supporting a good cause. Now, we have to take another break. When we come back, we'll be talking about legacy. Stay tuned. It's Talk Law Radio. Are you 100% confident that no matter what happens in the financial markets, economy, or world events, you will achieve your financial goals? If not, we have a process to get your financial house in perfect order and keep it that way forever. Your financial future shouldn't be a guessing game. Planning, advice, organization, and accountability are deliverables you should expect. For over 35 years, Financial Planning HQ has been San Antonio's trusted partner for comprehensive written lifetime financial strategies. Steve and his team, including sons Joseph and Jacob, don't believe in a one-size-fits-all approach. Instead, they create a personalized financial roadmap for you based on what's important to you. As an independent registered investment advisor, they're not tied to any big corporation's products. They work for you, creating inspiring, intelligent financial strategies that put your interests first. Call Financial Planning HQ at 210-685-2722. That's 210-685-2722. Hi, I'm attorney Todd Marquardt. If you don't have a will, the state of Texas decides who gets your stuff, and it might not go where you think. I'll help you create a simple, legally sound will that protects your family and your wishes. Call 210-530-4278. That's 210-530-4278. Or visit marquardtlawfirm.com for your free consultation. Do it before you die. We've been talking about the previous episodes that we've already done this year, the first 6 months of the year. I've been reminding you of some of the episodes and encouraging you to go to YouTube or podcast, your favorite podcast platform, to search for Talk Law Radio, and the bonus segments that you might be missing out on. Bonus segments air on Sundays at 4:30 in the afternoon on KLUP 930 AM The Answer in San Antonio. And I really like some of those episodes, and I talk about things that I don't talk about in the regular Saturday show. So if you're listening in Houston, you definitely want to search for these episodes on YouTube or on podcasts so that you don't miss out on critical information. Now, this is the legacy segment.
And now, it's time for the Talk Law Radio Legacy Spotlight. What's your legacy? Sponsored by Marquardt Law Firm.
The legacy segment is sponsored by Marquardt Law Firm, and attorneys at Marquardt Law Firm focus on business and estate law, including last wills, living trusts, and tax-protected inheritance plans. It's all about legacy. So tune in to the legacy segment because usually I have a guest. Today my guest is Lexi Law Dog. You can't see her sitting over here in the chair because she's taking a nap. Seems like whenever I start talking, she starts sleeping. But that's okay. At least she's not barking. Anyway, usually I have a guest that talks about their legacy. Lexi, what's your legacy? Well, she would say one of her legacies is she likes to circle a car and smell all the tires and the fenders and the front bumper and the back bumper. And I think that she just really wants to be a police dog. Of course, I don't think that she could do that because some criminal out there would probably just kick her, and we don't want that. The other legacy topic I wanted to bring up, since this is going to air on June 13th, is Flag Day. That's coming up. June 14th is Flag Day, so that's when we're supposed to put out the United States of America flag, Old Glory. So do you have a big flag that you like to put out? Do you follow the rules about how to take care of the United States flag? Well, I recently got this little flag book. I should have brought it with me. It's all about flag etiquette. And so if you have a flag, I think it's your responsibility to use good etiquette. I've always wanted to get a really nice flagpole with a giant flag on it and with an eagle on top. Haven't done that yet. Do you have one? Do you have somebody that you would recommend? If they're local, maybe I could have them on the show sometime. I'll have to plan for that next year, but email me at host@talklawradio.com. That's HOST at talklawradio.com. Let me know where you get your flag, and is it really great quality, and does it look really nice? So that's one legacy, is the United States flag. I mean, it's been around a long time. Another legacy is Father's Day. That's coming up June 21st. So what are your plans to acknowledge, honor, celebrate Father's Day? I know this could be an emotional time for some people. I have a friend who lost her father recently, and so I can imagine that she'll be thinking about her father, but might not be celebrating it. And so I like to encourage people on Father's Day, if you struggle with the relationship with your father, to think about your Heavenly Father, God the Father. He cares about you. He loves you. He sent Jesus to die for you, forgive you of your sins. And so, thank goodness my father's still alive. I did lose my mother, but I think about my father a lot. I try and visit him. He lives out of state. He comes to visit me, and I try and find time to talk to him. But it's not just my time that's hard to fit in a phone call with my dad. He's busy too. He's playing alto saxophone, tenor saxophone for 3 different bands right now, jazz bands in Colorado. He also considers himself to be a professional golfer. He's not on tour or anything, but he does practice every day with the intent of getting better. He says it's also his job to remain physically fit. So he swims, he lifts weights, he walks several miles a day. And so that's his legacy to me. If I want to follow in his footsteps, I'm going to have to be an extremely busy, retired individual, just like Dad. Then another legacy coming up, you guessed it, July 4th, Independence Day, celebrating America's 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. How are you celebrating it? I'm curious. I asked the staff at Marquardt Law Firm the other day, how should we recognize and celebrate America 250? And so you'll just have to come in and see us if you want to see how we're celebrating it. Now, I'm not really good at planning parties or putting out decorations, and so that's selfishly why I have to ask for help, because I just don't have many ideas on that subject. Now, if you want to talk with me about the law, I have lots of ideas about that. So email me at host@talklawradio.com, host@talklawradio.com. Give me some ideas about how to celebrate Independence Day this year, America 250. Speaking of which, I was actually in California just this last week. I went to the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library because they had an America 250 exhibit. They had original documents from the 1770s, and they had paintings, priceless works of art, and it was just all around inspiring. As you know, President Ronald Reagan was. He was the great communicator. So I really had a fun time with that. I'll post a picture of me with the giant airplane in the background. That'll be fun for you to see. The other thing that comes to mind when I think about legacy is celebrating sports. So it just dawned on me this morning when I was listening to the news that the Spurs play tonight. San Antonio Spurs go against the New York Knicks in Game 4 of the NBA Finals. And then this weekend, the Texas Longhorns baseball team is going to be starting the College World Series in Omaha, Nebraska, and also the World Cup. Whether you call it soccer or football, it's still the same thing. And so I was thinking about all these raving fans, and whether it's basketball, baseball, or soccer, it came to me that fans sort of borrow the legacy of their favorite team. They'll say things like, remember when we won the national championship or the World Series or the World Cup? Isn't that interesting that people would say we won, even though maybe I just saw it on TV? But we kind of feel like we're part of the team, right? And so I think that's part of a person's legacy. You might say, Dad was a super fan, or my brother was a super fan, and we always supported the team. I mean, how do we support the team? We buy tickets. We watch the commercials on TV. I'm not saying anything's wrong with it. It's just very interesting to me that we sort of borrow the legacy of the team and attribute it to us. And I'm reflecting on a show that I did last year with Shannon Salmon about building the new basketball arena here in San Antonio. Why is it that people were so passionate about doing that? Well, one of the reasons is if we don't build them a new stadium, they'll leave. Well, why is that so concerning? Well, if you feel like you're part of the team and the team leaves, it's like a breakup. You know, it's like my wife left me, and I think that there's some heartbreak there. And there's some emotions tied to the team, and so I'm starting to understand more about why people are so passionate about building the Spurs a new arena. That's okay with me. I just want you to know that you're paying for it one way or another, or you might lose some city service. Well, that's coming to a close for Talk Law Radio. I told you a lot about the first half of this year's hidden legal issue blind spots. Talked to you a little bit about sinners and saints and legacy. Email me, let me know what you think. I'll talk to you later. I'm Todd Marquardt. This is Talk Law Radio.